Welcome to Zengin Movies. Today, we're heading deep into the Australian outback, and then all the way to the Big Apple as we explore one of the most unexpected cinematic successes of the 1980s, Crocodile Dundee. Released in 1986, this fish-out-of-water comedy starring Paul Hogan became a global sensation, blending rugged Aussie charm with city-slicker chaos. It wasn't just funny, it was a cultural phenomenon. But behind the laughs and iconic knife scene is a story packed with wild animals, real-life inspiration, surprise investors, and one very stubborn buffalo. So grab your boots and your biggest knife, because here are 20 facts about Crocodile Dundee you probably didn't know. Fact number 1. The real-life inspiration, Rod Ansell's wild survival story. Back in 1977, a man named Rod Ansell set off on a simple fishing trip, but what followed was the stuff of legend. After a crocodile capsized his boat, Ansell found himself stranded in the remote Northern Territory of Australia. For 7 weeks, he survived alone, drinking cow blood, sleeping in trees, and dodging predators, before finally being rescued. His survival story made headlines, and his barefoot bushman charm caught the attention of talk shows, including one hosted by Michael Parkinson. Many believe that Ansell's wild tale and his quirky dislike of city luxuries like beds and bidets inspired Paul Hogan to create Mick Dundee. Though Hogan later dismissed the idea of a real Crocodile Dundee, the similarities were too strong to ignore. Fact number 2. Paul Hogan was already a star down under. Paul Hogan was already a star in Australia before Crocodile Dundee. While Crocodile Dundee introduced Paul Hogan to the world, Australians already knew him well. He had spent over a decade making audiences laugh with The Paul Hogan Show, a hit sketch comedy series that ran from 1973 to 1984. But that wasn't all. Hogan was also the face of Australia's international tourism campaign, famously inviting travelers to throw another shrimp on the Barbie. So when Crocodile Dundee hit theaters, Hogan wasn't just playing an Aussie icon, he already was one. Fact number 3. INXS's frontman was an investor. Believe it or not, one of the driving forces behind Crocodile Dundee's success was rock and roll royalty. Michael Hutchence, the charismatic frontman of INXS, was one of around 1,400 investors who backed the film. With a modest budget of $8.8 million, the team needed serious funding. A Queensland investment bank helped get things started, but celebrities, cricketers, and even Hogan and producer John Cornell pitched in. Hogan himself added $600,000 of his own money. The gamble paid off. Crocodile Dundee went on to gross over $300 million worldwide, turning those lucky investors into legends themselves. Fact number 4. Dundee's knife? Not exactly what it seems. The famous Bowie knife that Mick pulls out in the legendary "That's Not a Knife" scene wasn't just one prop. It was actually a collection of different knives, including versions made from rubber, aluminum, and steel. Prop designer John Bowring revealed that Paul Hogan personally asked for a real stainless steel version, even though it wasn't in the script. When Bowring asked, "Why do you need a real one?" Hogan casually replied, "I haven't written that part yet." That's classic Aussie improvisation for you. Turns out, even the most iconic movie weapons can be made of rubber, with just the right attitude. Fact number 5. The "That's not a knife" line almost didn't make the cut. Hard to believe, but one of the most quoted lines in movie history. "That's not a knife. That's a knife." Didn't seem that funny on paper. One of the screenwriters, Ken Shady, admitted he didn't think it was a big deal during the writing process. The line was actually a collaboration between the 3 writers, including Hogan himself. It wasn't until Hogan delivered it on screen, with perfect timing and that signature Aussie cool, that the line became an instant classic. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Fact number 6. From the outback to the Big Apple. Filming took place in the Aussie wilderness in the heart of New York City. Crocodile Dundee wasn't just a one-location film, it was a tale of 2 worlds. The Australian scenes were filmed in Kakadu National Park, a stunning and remote region roughly the size of Germany. After the film's success, the park actually started offering Crocodile Dundee tours to curious fans. And when the story shifted to New York, they didn't use sets. They filmed in the real city. One key location was Vazak's Bar in the East Village, which had also appeared in The Godfather Part 2 and Rent. Even the Plaza Hotel, where Mick stayed, has a legendary Hollywood history. It was featured in North by Northwest and Home Alone 2. Fact number 7. Hogan once worked on the bridge scene in the film. When Sue looks out her hotel window early in the film, we see the iconic Sydney Harbor Bridge. But did you know Paul Hogan used to work on that very bridge? Before he became a household name, Hogan was a rigger, helping maintain the massive steel structure. He later joked that he wasn't a painter, saying, "If I had to show up every day just to paint it battleship gray, I would have jumped off the thing." It's a subtle but meaningful nod to Hogan's real-life roots, blending the character of Mick Dundee with the man who played him. Fact number 8. Beer, bugs, and the real outback experience. Filming in Kakadu National Park was no tropical vacation. With no hotels for miles, the cast and crew had to live in old mining huts, surrounded by the rugged wilderness and the occasional crocodile. To keep everyone safe, there was an armed guard on duty 24/7 to watch for wildlife. And to keep spirits high, producer John Cornell made sure there was plenty of beer. Between the heat, the bugs, and the unpredictable animals, it wasn't easy. But the rough living brought the team closer together. Some even called it the adventure of a lifetime. And it gave the film a layer of authenticity you just can't fake. Fact number 9. The crocodile that attacked Sue was a $45,000 fake. That dramatic moment when Sue gets grabbed by a crocodile? Totally staged. In fact, the croc was a mechanical prop that cost a whopping $45,000 to build. Paul Hogan originally wanted to use a real crocodile for close-up shots, but the crew quickly realized, yeah, not a great idea. So, instead, special effects designers created a lifelike animatronic beast that could snap and thrash just like the real thing, without the risk of someone actually becoming lunch. Fact number 10. The buffalo was real and totally uncooperative. The buffalo scene took all day because the buffalo wouldn't move. While the crocodile was fake, the buffalo Mick hypnotizes was the real deal, and it caused major delays. In a 2001 interview, Paul Hogan didn't even hesitate when asked what the hardest animal to work with was. His answer? Buffalo. Why? Because a buffalo weighs over 2,000 pounds. And if it doesn't feel like moving, well, you're out of luck. Hogan said the animal just sat there all day like it was thinking, I'm going to do what I want and there's nothing you can do about it. Nature, 1. Film crew, 0. Fact number 11. A hidden movie and a clever name connection. The hotel TV was playing Major Dundee, and that was no accident. In one subtle scene, when Sue is in her New York hotel room, the TV in the background is playing Major Dundee, a 1965 Western starring Charlton Heston. Why that film? It wasn't random. The choice was a cheeky nod to the title of Crocodile Dundee, linking an old-school gunslinger to Australia's favorite bushman. It's one of those little Easter eggs that shows the filmmakers had fun weaving in hidden references for sharp-eyed viewers. So next time you rewatch it, keep an eye on the background. Dundee's got more layers than you might think. Fact number 12. 20th Century Fox turned it down, and probably regretted it forever. Before Crocodile Dundee became a global smash, producer John Cornell flew to Hollywood to shop the film around. One meeting was with a 20th Century Fox executive who watched just 20 minutes of the movie. According to Cornell, the guy sat there with his feet on the desk, looked at his watch 8 times, and then said, "It won't work." Well, it did work. Paramount ended up buying the US rights, and Crocodile Dundee went on to earn hundreds of millions worldwide. Bet that Fox exec still gets reminded about it at parties. Fact number 13. 2 versions, 2 vibes. The Australian and international versions of the film are different. After test screenings in the US, filmmakers realized something. A lot of Aussie slang just didn't land with American audiences. So they made changes. The international version had about 7 minutes cut, mostly from the first half in the Outback. Lines were dubbed or rephrased into more familiar language to suit the American ear. Even the film's pacing was sped up a bit to match U.S. audience preferences. As Paramount's president of distribution put it, "We accelerated the pace to the taste of the American consumer." Different slang, same Dundee charm. If you're still watching, it means you're enjoying the video, so don't forget to subscribe for more movie facts and behind-the-scenes secrets every week. Fact number 14. Why Crocodile got quotation marks in America? The U.S. version of the title got quotation marks on purpose. In Australia, the movie was simply called Crocodile Dundee. No fuss, no flair. But when it came time to release it in America, the title was changed to Crocodile Dundee, with quotation marks. Why? To make it clear that crocodile was a nickname, not a warning that this was another killer reptile movie like Alligator. Paramount wanted to avoid any confusion and make sure audiences knew this isn't a horror movie. It's an adventure comedy with a bushman named Mick, who just happens to wrestle crocodiles for fun. Fact number 15. The bidet that launched 1,000 phone calls. Tourists actually asked for Mick Dundee's hotel room with a bidet. After the movie came out, the Plaza Hotel in New York got flooded with a very specific request. Tourists called in asking to book Mick Dundee's exact room, especially the one with the bidet he famously didn't know how to use. There was just one problem. The bidet didn't exist. That entire bathroom scene was filmed on a set, not in a real Plaza room. The hotel didn't even have rooms with bidets back then. Still, the calls kept coming. Proof that even a curious bathroom moment can leave a big impression. Fact number 16. From co-stars to couple, Paul Hogan and Linda Kozlowski fell in love off-screen too. In the film, Mick and Sue's chemistry lit up the screen. But it wasn't just acting. After working together on Crocodile Dundee, Paul Hogan and Linda Kozlowski began a real-life romance. The two tied the knot in 1990, just a few years after the film's release. They had a son named Chance, and for a while it looked like a movie-made love story come true. Sadly, Linda filed for divorce in 2013, and they officially split the following year. Still, their off-screen relationship added an extra layer of charm to one of cinema's most lovable couples. Fact number 17. An Aussie blockbuster that beat the odds. Crocodile Dundee was a box office smash around the world. No one saw it coming, but Crocodile Dundee didn't just charm audiences, it dominated the box office. In Australia, it became the highest-grossing film in the country's history. And in the US, it was the second highest-grossing movie of 1986, only behind Top Gun. The New York Times called it the movie phenomenon of the year, praising its mix of humor, heart, and outback adventure. With over $300 million earned globally on a modest budget, this small Aussie comedy became an international legend. Fact number 18. Over 1,400 people invested in Crocodile Dundee. This wasn't your typical Hollywood production. Instead of relying on a major studio from the start, Crocodile Dundee was funded by a massive group of 1,400 investors. Among them, stockbrokers, professional athletes, celebrities, and yes, even INXS lead singer Michael Hutchence. Paul Hogan and producer John Cornell also put in their own money, $600,000 worth, showing they believed in the film just as much as anyone else. That gamble paid off. With over $300 million in global earnings, those early investors saw one of the best returns in movie history. Fact number 19. The movie that put Australia on the map. Crocodile Dundee redefined Australia for the world. Before Crocodile Dundee, most international audiences didn't know much about Australia beyond kangaroos and the outback. But this film changed that. Mick Dundee became an instant cultural icon, blending Aussie toughness with charm, humor, and a laid-back attitude that audiences everywhere loved. Tourism to Australia boomed after the film's release, and phrases like "shrimp on the Barbie" became part of pop culture thanks to Paul Hogan's earlier ads, and were reinforced by the film's global reach. It wasn't just a hit movie, it was a global introduction to Australian identity. Fact number 20. Dundee's New York bar has serious movie history. The bar where Mick Dundee grabs a drink in New York? That's Vazak's Bar in the East Village, a spot with a surprising Hollywood resume. It's also been featured in The Godfather Part 2, 1974, and Rent, 2005. So if you're ever in New York and want to walk in Dundee's footsteps, and Michael Corleone's, you know exactly where to go. And there you have it, 20 facts about Crocodile Dundee you probably didn't know. From real-life survival stories to Hollywood mishaps, this film is more than a comedy. It's a cultural legend. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes movie facts every week. Thanks for watching Zengin Movies, where cinema gets the spotlight it deserves. See you in the next one.